Okay, welcome everyone. Today we have Alex Johnson with us, who is the head of planning at the Greater Accra Passenger Transport Executive. Prior to joining GAPTA, he worked at the Accra Metro Assembly as the head of transport, and he brings with him a wealth of knowledge. He has a master's in road and transport engineering, as well as a bachelor's in planning. So to start off with, Alex has been sort of leading an initiative amongst other stakeholders as well in Accra to sort of think about creating a more sustainable urban mobility plan and system in Accra. And so perhaps you could share with us what role spatial data has played in sort of transitioning the transport system in Accra.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and also to be able to contribute to the discussions in this forum. I would want to jump in straight to mention the OECD SWAC work that went on in Accra and Kumasi. Some critical outputs from those studies had actually contributed to the wealth of data that we have now, especially with an accessibility model that was created for the purpose of the study. This other map also that projected a scenario for a fair distribution of educational facilities has also been on the gamma level, has also been very critical and has helped us to understand the insights that these tools or spatial planning tools provide for professionals. Hitherto, we didn't have access to softwares that would help us kind of project these types of data and also make these kinds of analysis. So we are very grateful to SWAC and OECD for helping us out and contributing this wealth of data to the work that we do in that.
Thank you so much. Perhaps just building on this and so other cities can learn more from your experience, can you tell us a bit about some of the challenges and opportunities that you had whilst using and sort of integrating spatial data into your planning and transport management?
Okay, so I mentioned earlier about the difficulty that we would naturally face when we do not have access to maps that described the kinds of services and the nature of accessibility to those services. That was a huge challenge. With the OECD work, providing a framework for developing tools that populations could be assessed by in terms of the quality of accessibility that they had to services. This was a huge contribution to the work that we are doing now. So in the absence of this, it was virtually very difficult to try to prioritize, to try to model them, and also to try to understand the interactions that were around these activities in terms of access or ease of access, and then the quality of travels. So to go further from that, this has also helped us to overcome our challenge of lack of framework for vision development. Now we have a framework, a process, simply following the tools that the SWAC-OECD study had provided. We are now able to project an inclusive process, or let me say, bring in all the relevant stakeholders that need to contribute to a vision development process. And from that point, we are also able to make sure that this framework has a true reflection of the services in space. So these two sides of institutional collaboration and also making sure that the spatial effects of the services that this institution should help provide has now become easier to understand. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. That's very, very helpful, sort of elaborating how these links between data and spatial data and vision setting all link up. Just before we close, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to add?
Okay, so in my presentation about how useful this data has been to us, I would want to add that it is not an exclusive process to simply apply a technical process and then you get a change that you want. There is also a change management which stands on its own, but then that process should receive quality content from what the situation on the ground is. And we think the OECD work has provided so much content to the kind of change that we want on the ground. And so we simply apply change management models to that process and then make sure that we get the kind of change we want on the ground. I like to show this slide, which is an artist's impression of what should be, let me say, a transit-oriented development. This is the current situation around the area that we are talking about. But with this kind of projection, which is a vision, we think that the OECD work has strengthened our position in terms of the framework development. Now we are able to characterize the nature of stakeholder engagement that we should have to be able to achieve some of these processes. And we want to use this opportunity to thank the OECD for contributing a huge amount of data, which would have cost us a fortune to collect, and then also giving us insights into this process, which I can call free consultancy and capacity building. We want to thank you very much for this. We look forward to continue to grow this partnership so that our people can benefit. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you too.